If you're listening on podcast, be sure to tune in to our YouTube channel on YouTube at Wild and Weird WV.
Welcome to Wild and Weird Radio, a Wild and Weird West Virginia podcast. Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for tuning in yet again to another installment of Wild and Weird Radio. You guys are awesome, listening everywhere. We've got YouTube exploding. We've got audio exploding. Y'all are so awesome. We can't tell you how much we appreciate everybody.
No, I don't think we could. No, you're right.
It's blowing my mind right now. We've hit some records here recently, and it's been really, really cool. So again, for that, we thank you guys.
I know we could get better if we actually tried, but because we forget to tell you to hit the like and share and all that stuff all the time. So,
we always forget.
You know, if you got nothing else to do, just do that. I mean, yeah, that's it. Subscribe to the YouTube and follow that. And for you people who are listening, you know, this show is made possible by some incredible people over on the YouTube channel. How long's that list now?
That list is incredibly long.
We got our executive producer levels, so Mr. Adam Good, L.W. Marshall, Teresa's Haunted History of the Tri-State, Larry House, Ada Cox, Nancy White, Scott Holbrook, Tommy Swiger, Pat. We're just going Pat. Small Town Monsters over there. Eyes in the Woods, and the Super Chatters, Dewey Edwards, Spooky Appalachia, Guitars and Chains Craig, Travis Aurednik, Geoffrey Steele, Russ Bailey, Chris Coots, BigfootLittlefoot, Terri Summerfield, Sarah Ramsey, Julie Bug, Finding the Trackway, Donna, Angie Breeden, Jen Clower, Jamie Snell, Ike Fauber, Ashely Hilt over there on Wednesday We Talk Weird, James Nelson, and that list continues to grow and grow and grow, and we couldn't be happier.
Yeah, guys, we appreciate all of you all. Everybody, like, all you got to do, the best thing you do is like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. You don't even have to become a monetary donator, but if you want to, you get to see what everything you're donating towards brings. That's data, that's experiences for people, that's everything. It's
the workshops.
Everything that we do, the workshops,
it's all made possible by people like you.
Exactly.
And we thank you.
And now that housekeeping's out of the way. How have you been, man?
I've been good. I've been really busy, but been really good. We've been working a lot.
I guess we can announce that, right? We've been working on now recently, because Geoffrey went ahead and posted pictures.
It's declassified. One of the projects we're working on is declassified now, so we can talk about one. And that's cool because it was a fun project to work on.
It really was.
So for those who don't know, you did know that we were working over there with the
Mothman Blacklight Mini Golf.
Yeah, and we had the UFO we made for that. And a few other little doodads. But what you didn't know is we have been working behind the scenes trying to help get the escape room off the ground.
Yep.
And that is happening. And we're pretty close at this point. We had to make some props for it. We had to make
puzzles.
A lot of props, puzzles, made sure they worked and whatnot. It's going to be absolutely brilliant. It's an incredible experience once you go there. It's pretty wild. You're
going to love it. It's going to be fun. I can't wait to run it start to finish myself.
Yeah.
And do the break and fix.
Yeah.
But it's going to be really interesting. So guys, you can look forward to that being open and live probably within a month from now.
Very soon. I don't know when, but very soon. And it's going to get exciting. So I can't wait to get in there. People who appreciate ufology are really going to love this thing. And you don't have to, though. You don't have to know anything about it to play the game. But if you like ufology, if you like the Mothman legend in general, you're going to love this thing.
So we don't really have anything big in the news this week, but we do have one thing that I want to bring up and mention.
Just the typical lies. You know what, Joe? Yeah, we do. We do have a little bit of news that I want to touch on. And I was going to touch on this a couple weeks back, but we decided not to because, it was just starting up and it kind of got quiet. And I'm like, okay, cool. But I have seen so many doom and gloom posts now about the eclipse that I am.
Oh, that eclipse thing.
I'm going to address this. No,
people just don't understand.
They don't understand. That's the bad thing. They need to understand. This is not doom and gloom. What they're trying to tell you people is, if you're in the path of totality, it is a really good idea that you are. If you're on the road, you're stuck. You're not going anywhere.
It's not because a catastrophe is going to happen. No, it's not because a meteor is going to happen or anybody's going to come up and lizards are going to come out of the ground that look like people. But it's going to be a tourist attraction for about 2 hours and then suddenly it's over.
Yeah, it's going to be everybody just stops and looks up for about 2-3 hours. That's what's going to happen. Yeah. So you're not going anywhere. Yeah, there are places that are closing. I would close too. There's no way I'd have my business open that day if I was in the path of totality. No one's going to come to my business. I'm wasting money being open. Schools, I would advise schools to close. I really would, because number one, how are you going to get your kids?
If I was a principal of a school or a superintendent, I would close the entire county and I would open up the playgrounds and rent space out on the playgrounds to generate revenue. Right.
For real.
That's just me.
No, you're right. And it's a brilliant idea because it is literally a once in a lifetime event. This doesn't happen. And the next one's not for another, I want to say like 40 years or something. I mean,
the last one that we had in 2017 was really interesting. And then the fact that we had two of them so close together is a unique phenomena. And then the next one, like Ron said, that comes over the United States is going to be at 38, 40 years, something like that.
Yeah, it's up there. I mean, it's up there. So this is literally a once in a lifetime event for a lot of people, especially complete totality. It's a beautiful thing. Don't be afraid of it. Don't let these fear mongers on TikTok and everywhere else go out there and scare you, because there's nothing to be afraid of other than the fact that there's going to be a lot of people and things are going to grind to a halt while that's happening. But it's going to go back to normal as soon as it's over. And, it's going to go back to normal about 4 hours after it's over, because that's how long it's going to take all that congestion to get worked out.
I'd say longer. I'd say, like, if you remember 2017, see, this is the reason these notifications have been going out, is because everybody remembers 2017. Yep. They remember the gridlock that happened on the interstates. They remember the gridlock that occurred downtown and in small towns that aren't made to handle this volume of people, that were suddenly had this massive influx of human bodies
inundated. And they know this is the last one. This is the last one. So everybody back then booked their day that day back then, 4 years ago. And this is it. So there's going to be 60,000 plus people. So have fun with that. It's going to be fun. But here, there's not going to be anything. So when they say, stock up, blah, 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 they're talking to the people who are literally in the path of totality, guys. They're not talking to you. If you're not in the path of totality. And the reason they're saying stock up is just because all of these tourists are going to go in and buy everything up. There's not going to be junk food on the shelves left. Think Super Bowl times 10. And all the chips are going to be gone. All of the instant food's going to be gone. All the waters are going to be gone. All the soda and drinks are going to be gone. So for about a day.
Yeah. Get what you need. And you're going to be fine
for about a day, and then the trucks come, and we're fine. It's not what you think. Go ahead, Jeff.
Now, in another spell of good news we've got here, it was announced today all over social media. It went out on various websites and posted on about as many pages as I could possibly get to, as well as everyone that Small Town Monsters has a reach with. But they announced our workshop space at Monster Fest 2. We're going to be talking about bridging the gap and how to collect data and use techniques in a world of high strangeness. And, we're dealing with this new phenomena where you have all this crossover, where you have subjects A and B, sometimes C, that you're dealing with and having to manage. And instead of lumping it all into one basket, we're going to be showing you how we compartmentalize data and how we put things together in a way that will help you make sense of stuff to the point that you can make sense of it anyway.
Well, I got to tell you, Joe, I mean, I've talked to multiple people at this point. What's really great about us getting out on the road and doing the stuff that we've been able to do and been fortunate enough and lucky enough to do because of the great people like we're listening right now, for example, we get to meet these people. These people come up to our table and they start telling us things that they've never told anyone else. And, you get the whole typical, everybody thinks I'm crazy or, I haven't said anything for years because someone would think I'm nuts or I might, jeopardize my job, etc. Do you know how many people do that? I mean, it's absolutely amazing. And just the fact that they do it and then you can look at them in the eyes and say, you know what, there's nothing wrong with you. You're perfectly normal. This is normal. This is normal. The paranormal is actually normal. Yeah. It's just needs some definitions and, we're trying to help with that. So
now in one last, before we get on to our topic, one last big boost of good news. Sir Brandon Wills is still alive and with us, everybody.
I know you all thought he was a clone. I know I've heard rumors that he was offed. I heard that. And was
MIB has taken him, cloned him, and replicated him.
Right. He was replaced by a body double. He's real. That's really Brandon.
They were trying to find a body double, but they had a hard time finding a guy who is as fat and handsome as I am.
That's what it was.
And speaking of body doubles, did we have a conversation yesterday? Because this is in past time world. I hope you guys tuned into the live because I'm assuming now that it got pretty interesting when we started covering that part of the topic.
Oh, yeah.
But all right, without any further ado, we've kept you guys waiting long enough. We've got a really good friend of ours that we've known for several years now. He's been at tons of events with us. He's been to our events that we've hosted as well, and has written some really awesome books, including my son's favorite children's book, Mothman Learns the ABCs. Ladies and gentlemen, here we have Mr. Michael Strayer somewhere. It's not letting me put him on the screen.
Uh-oh.
Ron, give it a shot. It's not letting me do it. There he is.
Can you hear me?
We got you, man.
Okay,
we got you.
Good.
That's weird. I've never had trouble adding a guest before.
The Men in Black.
It would not let me bring you in. Like it showed, and the funny thing is, it showed on my heads up display that like you're in, and I'm like, well, he's clearly not. I can't see him.
Oh, that's good. Thanks for having me on, guys.
And now we can't hear Ron. Ron, are you there? You're muted somehow.
I'm good. I'm back. It's all good. It wasn't the Men in Black. It's just
Lord,
technical difficulties caused by us being, stupid.
So what's going on, Mikey?
Not much, guys. It's just living the weird life, of course. I also want to say real quick, Ron, you sound like the Casey Kasem of Wild, just the weird radio. I said that in a review years ago, but every time I hear you talk, I'm just like, that's Casey Kasem. That's the ghost talking through Ron. So,
and I will take that. Absolutely.
Okay. Good. But yes.
So guys, if you don't know who Mikey is one of the hosts of Mothboys podcast. They've been around for 5 years now, right?
Mm-hmm.
You just had your 5-year anniversary.
Yeah. It's funny. It's totally slipped our minds that we were a podcast for 5 years. Cause you usually would like to do something fun and big for our anniversry shows, but we're like, we turned 5 like a week ago and we're like, oh, shoot, you know what I mean? Like it just flew by over our heads. So
Wild Weird did the same thing there last week. The only reason that I remembered it was our anniversary was I was working on the contact day thing. And I'm like, oh crap, that's the same day. Just by complete coincidence, that's when we made ourselves official. That was the official. And I was like, oh, well, we missed that one. So
how about that? That's life, man. I don't know. That's just how it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we normally, in the past, we've done giveaways. We've done all kinds of big stuff on it. And then this year we were just like, oh, yeah.
That's what happened to us. We're just like, we usually do something fun, but this year we're like, here's just a normal episode. Nothing,
right?
Nothing fun, Yeah. So,
well, congratulations, Mikey. That was awesome.
Yes,
we're 5 years old in
absolutely
podcast years and in human years. I mean, that's how we act. That's how mature we are.
There we go.
Old. So
that's a long time in podcast years.
It really is,
dude. It really is. It absolutely.
I mean, for anybody who's just like a casual listener of podcasts, there's like, I'm wanting to say it's 500,000 podcasts. Okay. It's like 500 pushing like into the 525s range that are like actual podcasts that have been generated and are sitting in servers somewhere. Of those 520 some thousand, there's 388,000 active ones. And it's, for being 5-6 years old, whatever, like that's a long time for a podcast, because the majority of these podcasts that they get started, they run, they do like a year, or they just do like a handful of shows and they're gone.
Well, they run out of content.
Yeah, they run out of content, and then they're like, "Oh, what do we do next?"
But also there's not a shortage of weird stuff happening. You know what I mean? So
right.
You know what I mean? So, and I also think that what's kept us alive for so long is that we don't have a strict schedule. We don't if this isn't our job, it's a hobby. So like if we have life stuff happen, it's not gonna. Sure. We release when we can, and I think that's been a really that's really helped us out. I really look up to people that can keep a schedule and keep to it, but like it's terrible.
It's tough. I mean, we're cranking out 2 a week.
Not kidding. It's terrible.
2. That's right. You guys are doing 2. That's tough. Yeah. We do 2. We do like 2 or 3. What do we do? 2 a month. That's what we do. So
I'm jealous, Mikey.
Man.
So, but yeah, I mean, what year are you guys on? 3?
In the podcast, we're on year 4. But as Wild and Weird, we're at year 7.
Wow.
6. Cool. 6 at Wild and Weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So It was 2017 when we kicked off the
2017 official.
Yeah. Nice. That's cool. Yeah. Well, hopefully you guys make it to 5. I think you will. I mean, you guys all get along and stuff.
Oh yeah. We're already into year 4, moving into it. So like
it's coming up and I don't know when.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like you, Mikey. It's just like, I don't remember when it was.
It'll happen. And then you'll go, oh, whoops. It was last week.
Right.
It may be May. For some reason, I'm thinking it's May, but
it was late April, early May, something like that was when we kicked it off.
It was 2020. I remember.
Yep.
Right. Cool.
It's fun times. I never would imagine in a million years, that's still blows my mind.
Yeah. You guys were like one of the first guys that we kind of like fell upon when we started becoming a podcast, we just started becoming friends almost.
Yeah. We were set up beside each other at Mothman Festival the first year you guys were together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I remember we were
saying together, you guys are brothers. So it's not like you were never not together.
Well, we were told if we needed any help, go to Joe. That's what we were told. So we're like, who's Joe? What was Joe guy?
Everybody knows who Joe is.
Yeah, we didn't.
You learned that by osmosis when you go to the Mothman Festival.
So it was a lot of fun. Yeah, you guys took right on to us, and that was really nice of you guys. So we're rascals every once in a while, so we appreciate the friendliness.
No, we're those people who help us.
Yeah,
and you guys have never, you've done exactly that. You've always supported.
We tried to. Yeah, of course. You guys are great. We've always been a fan of yours, you guys. So.
That's how it works. That's how it's got to work. People got to support each other.
It is, absolutely.
Yep.
Like you don't get that kind of longevity without having pillars underneath you.
Right.
Whether those pillars are, and I know for our average listeners, you guys are like, why are y'all talking about this stuff? Like for real,
we don't get to talk to each other.
Yeah.
That's why. At a festival, you don't get to talk.
No, it's 1,000 miles an hour, but you don't make it as long as both of our groups have without having pillars underneath you that are supporting you, be that fans or friends. And when you have people who are in the same industry who are propping you up as well, that just further bolsters your ability to survive.
Right. I think your podcast and our podcast, they're not similar in the sense of podcast at all. You know what I mean? But I think that we both have diehard fans that would do anything. You know what I mean? For us, and that's wild to me. I think that's the real foundation for both. I think for you guys too, obviously.
It is. And it's still surreal thinking about that. Like we have people who are stopping their day for now, like almost 5 hours a week.
Yeah, absolutely. We have people like the episode comes out at midnight or after midnight, and we'll get messages, like 1 o'clock in the morning, say, I just listened to your episode. I'm like, it just came out an hour ago.
See, those are the people who seem to be the most responsive with us, like on Facebook, are our night shift crew. The folks who are like working the night shift in warehouses or hospitals and stuff. Like those are the guys who listen to the show first. And then they're like, oh yeah, this was great. Great episode. Or they're the first ones leaving comments under the video. It's great.
I mean, what else have they got to do? I mean, that's the whole thing. I mean,
it's us or Coast to Coast AM. And if you're
I was going to say podcasts are the new AM radio.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of what it is, right? Yeah. I mean, because AM was talk radio, and typically when you work those old jobs at night, you would be listening to,
That's what we need to do, guys.
What's that?
We need to find like a AM radio band, and we just need to get like 10 or 15 of our favorite paranormal podcast folks
and become pirate paranormal.
That's
radio.
It,
right?
Yeah, pirate paranormal.
Pirate paranormal.
Black Flag. No, pirate paranormal is actually a group. We'll call it Black Flag Paranormal. It's the same thing.
Black Flag Paranormal. There it is.
Didn't Coast to Coast start off as a pirate thing at first?
It was either a pirate or it started off like in a basement, like home radio kind of thing.
That's insane. I know only one group that did that, and that was Green Day, which just blew my mind that they actually did that. They had their own pirate radio station that used to broadcast. Awesome. And then the FCC shut them down.
Right, and wasn't that like 89 or 88, 89?
Huh?
That was like 88 or 89, wasn't it?
I can't remember the year it was, but it was.
Well, there was that one station in the 70s who was broadcasting off of a boat in the Atlantic.
Yes.
Give music to America and the UK.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember seeing that movie about that. Yeah.
That
was good.
That's right.
We should just become a podcast.
To show you that radio people are weird, guys.
I think Jimmy Buffett actually had a pirate radio station, if I remember correctly, back in the early days. Yeah.
I think we should just turn Wild and Weird into a podcast that talks about podcasts.
Podcast talks about podcasts.
Yeah, there you go.
Who's on next?
That's what the fans are getting tonight. So welcome everybody.
And here's your long distance dedication.
All right, Mike.
Okay, so let's go.
We've got you have a new book, and you sent it out. We took a look at it.
Okay, first let me talk about this for just a second, Jeff.
Yeah.
Okay. See that right there? See that work? That work right there? That's Dodd's work right there.
Oh yeah.
You see that?
Yep.
Where's my copy?
I don't know. You're breaking
you need
the
to
rules,
your copy.
Mikey.
No.
Anyway,
that's Jonathan Dodd. I mean, he's
and Jonathan Dodd. He even there you go.
There you go.
Jonathan Dodd. He even darkened out the genitals area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's the best man. You just can't. You can't beat a Jonathan Dodd. You know what I mean? It's just
I love John.
You can beat them.
His work's great.
You can beat them, Mikey.
Well,
but it's
Jonathan,
not recommended that you beat.
It's not fun for him. Yeah.
No, it's not.
Yeah. But that's our new book. I mean, he was a big part of it. I mean, like he was a big but Jonathan Dodd. We wouldn't have done it. I'm not so sure we would have done it with anybody else. I mean, that's just who was in our mind, and I'm glad that he hopped on when we talked to him, and we're lucky that we had him.
Oh, yeah.
So
that's awesome. So I'm going to ask the first question out of the gate on this one.
Okay.
The book is titled "The White Monsters of Sherman, New York." Now I know you're originally you're a New Yorker.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You grew up in Southern New York, right? Or
Western New York. Western New York.
Western. Okay.
Yep. Chautauqua County. Chautauqua County. That's where I grew up.
And so this was kind of like a going home trip for you, and a revisiting of. Was this a story that you were aware of when you were younger?
Well, yeah, but not much younger. I mean, I wasn't like, I was probably in, my late teens into 20s probably when I found out about it. But yeah, this was definitely. Do you just want me to get into how I heard about it? I could go.
Yeah. Go and walk us through how you heard about this and how the whole project came along.
Okay, the whole project came about. Like I said, we I heard about the story reading. I got a hold of John Keel's The Complete Guide to Mysterious Beings. That was the book. And then, flipping through the pages, I noticed there's a segment in the book where an anonymous boy wrote into John Keel to tell him the story about that he was like a teenage age boy. It's like in the 60s. He was telling John Keel, I'm seeing these giant, massive sloth-like creatures in my backyard in the swamp next to my house. They're always white, always huge white creatures. And funny enough, I guess talking, the guy's name is John Goodwill. We found out his name is John Goodwill, but we talked to him, and he said he got a letter back from John Keel from that letter, and he said, so I guess John Keel told him, I get so many letters every year. I can't answer. I can't figure out all of them. I can't look into your case at all. I'm sorry. I get too many. But then he ended up putting in this book anyways. So, it was like, so it's just really funny to think that, like, John Keel,
it was probably one of those things where, like, he already knew it was going in his book, and he wasn't going to give somebody else fodder to put in theirs.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. Because you got to remember, back when John Keel and Gray Barker and all these guys were slinging this stuff together, it was kind of cutthroat with data and how they shared stuff. You wouldn't give everybody all the data because that they're also going to be publishing stuff, and you don't know who all's writing. You don't know who all's trying to draft a new book, or if somebody's writing you under a different name.
That's true.
So, and John Keel was through doing this escape room and working with Jeff, I have learned the new level of paranoid that John Keel was.
Yeah, I bet he was a real character. I never met him, but just reading stories and stuff like that. But yeah, I thought that was funny because, like, he told this young man, I don't have time for your story, but then ended up taking the story and throwing it in the book.
But I'm going to use it.
But I'm going to use it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, and I guess later on, he had heard that his letter was used because he was totally anonymous in the letter. Like, you open the book and it's just it says anonymous.
Oh, okay. So he didn't say who he was.
No, that's all we had to go on. It was from Sherman, New York, which was like in our backyard, essentially, like, I don't know, 10 minutes away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Completely anonymous. And I guess later on, the eyewitness John, he said that his sister showed him the book and was like, look at this, like, your letter made it into this book that was not supposed to make it anywhere. So that was a story that we've always, like, attached ourselves to because we don't really have much in our area. We have some Bigfoot sightings. We have some UFO stuff. But that's about it. So, like, that we really attached ourselves to that. And we love this story. It's, it's this long. That's it. That's all we had, but we loved it. And, we always like, what can we do with this? We always just died there. It was always like, what can we do with this? Nothing. It's anonymous letter from, the 70s or, 60s or whatever. So, but we eventually got, like, real serious about it. And we're like, what can we do to, like, find this, to find this dude, to find this eyewitness? And we were looking at, like, one of the cryptid wiki sites or something. And somebody had written underneath they were calling it the Beast of Sherman or something like that. I think they were calling it. So under that, somebody had written under the name John G. That's what we had, John G. And he said, I think this was me. I think this was me that wrote the letter to John Keel. And I remember it. If anybody wants to get a hold of me, he didn't leave anything though. So we had that much. We had John G. So that's where we got from that. And then it said he lived in Chillicothe, Ohio. So we had that. We had those two things. So being a real internet creep, I just did a bunch of, like, adding. You went
to every John G in Chillicothe.
Yes, I did. And family members. I was trying to, like, how do we find out it was John Goodwill? Oh, because he mentioned he was a teacher in Chillicothe, in Ohio, in the Post. He says, I'm now a retired teacher from Chillicothe, Ohio. So we somehow got it together. We found a John Goodwill in Chillicothe. That's a teacher, a retired teacher. And then, just doing a whole bunch of investigating and just, like I said, some not creepy, but like, you add everybody, you add all these people and hope that you can get an answer from any of them, family members, hopefully, maybe. And eventually we fell upon his son. So, which was pretty cool. And I had his message, and I told him, like, we're really interested in the story. We don't know what we want to do with it. If anything, we just want to talk to John, talk to the eyewitness. And, so he emailed his dad and was like, I can email him for you guys and see if he's comfortable talking and whatnot. So I'm like, okay, cool. That's awesome. I mean, that's amazing. So he said, so John Goodwill told his son to give us his email. No phone numbers. He didn't trust us that much, but he said, give these guys my email and we can have a back and forth. And that's how it started. That's how like it started off with an anonymous letter in an old John Keel book. And we just found the guy. And
that is a wild ride, man.
Dude, it's exhausting just telling it because it's just so crazy. I mean, it doesn't seem real.
This is good detective work, Mikey.
It was. Well, it's like I said, it's a lot of clicking. Add, message. But yeah. So yeah, that's how the project came about. And
if I ever need to find somebody, I'm calling you.
Call me up. Yeah, call me up.
And, I'm totally doing it.
Yeah. So that's how it came about. And I think that we were originally going to shoot like some kind of weird like documentary or something around it, but we're like, that's going to take a lot of work. I mean, that's going to like, we don't know anything about that. I've released books before. So I'm like, why don't we just release a little book about it and, put it out in the world. And,
and you preserve the story, you get it out there with the witness's name actually attached to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he was
the groundwork you guys were able to do. I mean, it's great.
Well, what's interesting about this story, guys, is the year that this took place. Was it 65, 66? Is that what we're thinking?
Yeah, I think so. It's 60s, late 60s, I believe. So it might have been around that time. He was probably seeing him at that time. Yeah. So that is, those are big years in weird stuff happening around the world.
Yeah. Around the world. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. It wasn't just him. It was literally that family who saw these things. Right.
Right. It was initially the first encounter was him and his brother. They were walking home. And they saw this thing walking across the field towards them. And, they freaked out and, his brother froze, I guess, just froze and couldn't move. So he had to run back and grab his brother, and they ran down to the factory where their father worked. And, they ran to the break room where they're all hanging out, and they, laughed at him and told him to shut up and, whatever, just saying, you guys didn't see nothing. But, there's an encounter later on where the dad does end up seeing it. The dad did see it a few times. So the whole family had seen these things. So, yeah. It's pretty amazing. So
with this, obviously there's a lot of parallels with the giant ground sloth. That's what's all the artwork. That's, and oddly enough, that area is native range for the now extinct giant ground sloth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because his big thing was, it reminded him of a Mylodon, I guess. I don't know if is that the same thing as the ground sloth? Yeah, it is. So Mylodon. That's what he said when he looked at a picture, because he looked at a book when he first saw it, or whatever. And he's like, that's what I'm seeing, an albino Mylodon. That looks exactly like it. So, yeah.
So, then that was its native home range. Now there's a lot of, cause we had them down here. One of the only complete skeleton actually came from 3 or 4 miles from our farm.
Wow.
And it was found in a sinkhole along the Greenbrier River.
That's pretty cool.
And Thomas Jefferson lays claim to finding it, but obviously somebody else found it. But he did go and he funded the expedition to get it out of the cave and all that.
That's like the official the skeleton of West Virginia or whatever, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's the official fossil. It's the fossil of West Virginia.
And actually, funny enough, I don't know if it was a year ago or 2 years ago, somebody had found a fully intact.
Yeah, and oddly enough, so the whole body was found about 5 miles from our farm. That full skull was found 1.5 miles from my house.
That's awesome. That's so cool.
Like, that's so cool. Right here between me and Brandon, it was just up the road.
Yeah. Amazing.
Oh, let me give you a random fact about Thomas Jefferson. So whenever he sent Lewis and Clark out west, he was convinced that mammoths still walked around out there. and giant ground sloths were still out there. And he begged them to bring back some proof, bring back a body or a chunk of a leg or something for him. And awesome. John Quincy Adams was a big Hollow Earth believer. He believed in mole people. He actually said that in his journals that he believed in mole people.
Huh.
That's interesting.
Well, that's really interesting. I didn't know about that. I knew about the Jefferson thing with Lewis and Clark, but John Quincy Adams, that's really interesting, man.
Yeah, we had some cryptid people as presidents back in the day.
That's pretty cool. Crazy. Well, I'll say this about your book here, bud. There's a piece in here that I find interesting, and that's that your witness also says that he saw a flying saucer, not a UFO, but a flying saucer. And that, of course, predated him seeing these things.
Right. Well, let me just point out real quick. So the area where it happened, since we've written this book, we go out there and just to hang out and, maybe we'll see a Mylodon, who knows, but we haven't yet, but we usually go out at night to look for these things. Whenever I go up to New York's only like from Morgantown where I am right now, it's only like 3.5 hours. So it's really not that big deal. But, so I go up there every once in a while, but I'm telling you guys, every night we've been out there, we have seen saucer activity, UFOs over the swamps where he saw these creatures. Every night I've never seen a UFO in my life. I started going up to the swamp in Sherman, New York, and I see 3 or 4, at a time. It's wild.
What do they look like, Mikey? What's your basic description?
Well, Jonathan Dodd was with us the first time because he came up to hang out. We did this big Sherman festival. It's like a Sherman Day type. We sold the book there and we were meeting people and hearing stories and stuff. But we all went out at night and so it was a triangle, a black triangle with 3 lights, and it's slow, silent, no noise, nothing. No noise. I mean, just it's quiet. It slowly went over our heads. We could see it. We were looking right up at it. I mean, it was right above our heads, and we just watched it float over our heads, man. Just like, but then other ones we see are like I don't know how to describe it. They're just dancers. I don't know how to. They just dance.
Yeah, they're the ones that we capture.
Yeah, they just jump around. I mean, it's nothing does that. I don't know. So we can see 2 or 3 or 4 of those in a night down there. We just walk the trails and look up. And the first time that little triangle one was it. My brother Maddie, he was looking over at the trees and he's like, man, that star right there is real low, like too low. It's right above the tree line. Yeah. And we stood there and really just watched it. And it slowly, ever so slowly moved up. And we're like, that's not a star. Like it's moving. It's going up. It's moving. Like, and I guess that's how they keep camouflaged. I mean, that's if you really had to stop and stand and watch this thing to see it move at all. I mean, if you were just walking by, you just think it's a star. It's amazing. So in this area, there's some weird stuff going on in this area. From the Mylodon sightings in the 60s to these UFOs that we're seeing these days that we know every time if it's not a cloudy night out, you're going to see a UFO in this area. So it's
Sherman, New York. I just looked it up because I was curious. It's in a pretty interesting spot in New York too, because it's close to 4 state parks.
Yep.
And it's also not very far away from Lake Erie, which is also a UFO hotspot.
Very big hotspot for and it's right on the tip of the state too. You know what I mean? So it's a very out of the way, strange place. But yeah, you bring up a good point with Lake Erie. I mean, you have the Beach 6 sighting and all that. You know, I mean, that's those sightings. That's just amazing stuff too. But yeah, every night we've been out there, we've seen. What else have we seen? Yeah, that triangle one going right overhead. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, even drones make noise, right? It's some kind of noise.
Yeah, they do.
This thing was dead silent.
How high up do you think it was, Mikey? Like if you put your thumb up, kind of thing, could you cover it or?
Yeah, you could cover it. You could cover it. Yeah, I could say that. Yeah,
but
I'm not sure how high up.
You could see that it was triangular.
Yeah, so you could see the triangle, and then it had three. I forgot. I'll have to ask, but the 3 different lights on each corner of the triangle, and the flashing. They were flashing. Yep. And then we've also seen one like so we saw that it kind of went on a frame, but then we looked at it. We kept watching it, and then we saw one of these little dancers, one of these little guys. It started following it, dancing towards it, and then moving away.
Things, right?
Yeah, they were moving together. It was moving around it. It was moving. It just, I don't know. I don't know if it's controlling. If there was it was controlling it or what. But like, it was just kind of dancing around this triangle. I mean, I have no idea. I've never seen anything like it, and I love it. I love going out there now because, it's so special,
So you had never seen anything until you went out looking for this white
sloth
monster, right?
Right. Yep.
In the same area where this guy used to see these things, who had an experience as a kid, basically.
Yep. Never. Okay. I've never seen a ghost, never seen a Bigfoot, never seen whatever. I've never seen anything weird.
What do you think now?
About what?
Yeah, about it. What do you think now?
Dude.
It's one thing to say,
because you're dealing with an area of high strangeness.
Yeah.
Not just a situation or a instance, but you're saying every time you go up there, you can see these things. You're seeing this activity. It's got a history of activity. So it is a historical area of high strangeness.
Yeah, that's a good question. Because as soon as I left that place, I was real paranoid. First of all, I was real paranoid. I thought cars were following us. It's instant. It was like an instant thing. I thought, because that's how weird alien movies start. I'm going to go to bed. I'm going to lay down, and then something's going to enter the door and take me away. You know what I mean? That's what's going to happen.
It's okay, Mikey. You don't remember.
Any chance you had owls out there too?
No, not that I noticed. But I bet there is.
If you didn't notice, then it wasn't.
It's okay.
I had to, for the sake of our listeners, ask that question
because they're going to ask.
Yeah. I was real paranoid for a little while, but I was also thinking how special this is, how amazing. Not everybody gets to see something like this.
Yeah.
And also I've always had that in my head. I knew there was something out there, but this solidified it. This is
it was your validation, right?
It's validation, man. That's all. That's absolutely validation. And it was, man, it was,
cool.
Not scary, but it was also what's up there? What's doing that? What's controlling that? What's in that? What's, it's a little scary to think about too, a little bit, you know what I mean? Because who knows? I don't know, so it was beautiful and scary. It was a million different descriptions. I don't know how to describe it, but it was wonderful. And every time I go up to New York now, I got to go out there at nighttime. So,
that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It wasn't too scary because you still go out and look.
No. Yeah.
That's a good
after I realize they're not going to abduct me, I'm good to go, So,
right.
So
again, even if they do, Mike, you don't remember. It's okay.
It's true. I mean, they'll hopefully knock me out because I still can't watch Fire in the Sky. I haven't seen the full movie yet.
Oh, it's okay. You can watch it. It's crap.
Those little grandpa aliens scare. They scare me. I hate it.
Let me ask you a question that happened to me. Yeah. A lot of people don't think about this. After you started investigating all that, did you have any weird sleep phenomenon happen?
No, not really. I mean, I could ask the other guys that, the other Mothboys, they might have, but I didn't have any. Yeah, I wish I could say I could, but no, I didn't have anything weird happen like that. It's funny enough that you mentioned that because there's an encounter in there that John Goodwill had with these sloths where him and his brothers were sleeping out in a tent.
That's right.
And, he wakes up screaming. He wakes up just horrified. And, he says he unzips the tent they're in and just looks at the stars and he's just horrified. He's scared. He doesn't know what's going on. And what happened was the dad came out. He was going to work and he shined a flashlight over the tent. And one of the sloths was standing over the tent, just standing there. And he had no idea. He couldn't see it. He was looking at the stars.
Think about that.
Yeah. That's some kind of connection there. You know what I mean? It's very,
it sounds like a screen memory.
Yeah. Yes. Well, he was saying I wish I could have some kind of hypnosis or something. I wish I could go back to that night and just try to see why I was so scared. Cause he didn't see the creature. His dad told him later that he saw a creature standing over the tent, but, so he said he was horrified and, he's looking at the stars. I mean, there's something to that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but I just think it's pretty amazing. So
absolutely. Oh, let me clarify this real quick before we start getting a lot of hate mail. When I said Fire in the Sky was crap, Fire in the Sky is not crap. The movie Fire in the Sky is crap.
The movie, not Travis Walton or his story.
Travis Walton is cool. He's a very stand-up individual. He's awesome.
Who was Travis? Was it D.B. Sweeney? Is that who played Travis Walton?
It was. It was.
D.B. Sweeney, you're crap. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah. No.
Please. But to be fair, like he did a good job with what he had.
He did. Yeah.
It wasn't his fault. That was not
what I've seen.
Hollywood. It's Hollywood's liberty.
Yeah, the Hollywood liberties that were taken to make it movie-esque was,
If Travis actually gets to do what Travis wants to do, watch it because that's going to be good. And there was a documentary that Travis did. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but that's more the story.
It was Travis, wasn't it? That was the name of it?
I don't know. I can't remember.
That's the name of the documentary, Travis?
I'm pretty sure it was.
It may have been just Travis. I can't remember. Yeah, it's really good.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really good.
And I think you can find that on Amazon and YouTube.
I think so.
So
we got a potential screen memory is what you're saying, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's one of this, it's 7-8 encounters this guy had with these creatures. His whole family they pulled over in a car one day and watched two adults is what he called them. And then two young ones. They were watching the young ones play in the field, and, to go back with what we did, we all met up, all the Mothboys and John Goodwill. We all met up in Sherman together. And, we had this big interview that we did with him at the community center in Sherman. And then he brought us, and his whole family was there. So it was like us in the middle. It was the three Mothboys and then John Goodwill across the table. And then around the table was his family members just watching the podcast. It was amazing. And at the end of the podcast, everybody starts clapping, everybody's happy. And it was just a wonderful experience.
That's cool.
We all went out together and he showed us the exact spots. I can see it right there. I can see it in my mind. This is where I saw it. He took us to all the spots where he saw it. And, it was just, so we released an episode on that first. So that came out first. And then after that, we started talking to Jonathan and we want to make a book out of this. So that was a really special day, just going up to Sherman and being together and just him showing us all these spots. So it was really, really just a nice time. So, but yeah, his whole family was really sweet. They were all sweet people and, they all believe him. And I don't know, he seems very, very genuine and sincere. I mean, what does he have to gain from nothing? Right. He doesn't. You know what I mean? Nothing. I mean,
nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
None of these people do, Mikey.
No.
This whole thing with a lot of these experiencers, they're like, oh, well, you're telling your story because you want to make $1 million. Good luck finding somebody to pay you $1 million. No one's going to pay you $1 million for a story. No one cares anymore. Well, that's the whole point.
That's how you can tell if someone's faking it because they immediately start wanting to cash in on
the money. Yeah, that's true.
Like certain people that have had certain ghost encounters.
Right. Well, when we put the book out, we all agreed that anything we made from the book was going to be put back into the book, as in we would buy more stock. We would
pretty much has to be, bud.
Yeah. So nobody's making money off this.
It has to be. That's what people don't understand.
Yeah, we're not making money off this. Actually, we're losing money.
Brand, people.
Yeah,
well, and what Brandon I think was more or less talking about was the witnesses who have these stories, and they're like, "Well, I'll tell you about it."
Yeah.
Price.
Right.
Yeah. That's
the people who write these stories and compile them into books, they're preserving history. They're preserving the story and keeping it.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. You deserve to be paid. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's
it's what you're doing. That's not.
The government gets paid for record keeping and filing. So it's,
well, I'll tell you, we got the copies of the book, and then me and my brother, Maddie, we went around Chautauqua County where it happened, and there's 24 libraries there, and we just handed out copies to the libraries to have.
That's cool.
I mean, so any money we made from the initial selling of the book, we put right back into the library tour. So I mean, that's awesome. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. So
with this scenario, you've got the UFO encounter, the previous UFO encounter, your UFO encounters now, your experiences up there in this area combined with his experiences in this area. There's only a couple scenarios that would remotely fit this instance. A being some kind of a time slip, because this is an area where these creatures did roam the planet.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
In the not so distant past. And then there's the high strangeness element, which a time slip is technically high strangeness, but like I'm talking about the really freaking weird. You've got screen memories, you've got UFOs, you've got all of this stuff, and it comes together in a much more bizarre story at that point.
You've got a reason John Keel was involved with that, Joe.
Right.
That's where it all started. I mean,
that's why he kept that story, guys.
And if you think about it, it all goes back to John Keel. That's where we heard about it. And then the year it happened was the Mothman, all the big stuff, those years. It's all connected in a very strange way, but like there's a connect. I can't make the connection, but I know there's a connection there. You know what I mean? So
you're leaning more into the high strangeness aspects of it rather than like a time slip kind of, you were looking in where there's like some weird temporal anomaly that happened. Yeah, stare through the window and you saw a glimpse of the past.
Yeah. I don't know. I wish I hadn't. I think that somehow everything is connected. But I also think it maybe because there is a big cave system in Chautauqua County. There's it's called the Chautauqua Gorge, and he thinks that that's where they go. I mean, there's a big, huge cave system there, and he heard a story once about people going down there and coming back up and not talking about. They all came up horrified, and he said that the group never talked about what they saw, and he thinks that something had to do with that, and I don't have a reason not to believe that they could be in those caves. I mean, why not? They're not too far. That's not very far away from Whitehall, New York, where the police department actually responded to that Bigfoot sighting. Remember that?
Yeah.
Wasn't
that Bigfoot white? I think so.
I think it was. It was. The beast of Whitehall was a white
beast of Whitehall.
And that's funny because the eyewitness, the county over is Cattaraugus County, and he had heard a story that these kids saw a giant white Bigfoot, and just the county over. So he was hearing stories about people seeing white Bigfoot over there. So I don't know where that comes into play, but
I think it's fascinating because the one story is he's like watching them and. Yeah, they're playing. They're there's a family group kind of thing. It kind of reminded me of what Joe had seen in his initial sighting all those years ago. It's like, wow, that seems like animal behavior. That seems it's like if it's not animal behavior, if that's not a real animal, guys, then something is trying its hardest to emulate that or what that would feel like or what that would seem like in a perceptual way.
Yeah, I really can't. I don't have. I'm about 50-50 on each one. I think it might be an animal itself, and I think it might be something else. I don't know, and I like to keep all the options open.
That's what we call throwing everything on the table, Mikey. And that's a good thing to do because you really don't have any evidence any other way. We just have a load of
Well, the one thing too that ties into this being possibly real is he describes it as being blonde or white.
Yeah,
and Megatherium has had hair, like it's so recently extinct that there has been hair recovered from these things, and guess what color it is?
White, or
it's that gray, blonde, white combination, similar to other sloths. And so it has these elements of a real creature. But then you go into the sighting that his dad had with it over the tent.
That's
and
wild.
He's looking up and seeing stars, and he's not seeing the creature. That screams screen memory.
Sure there's something like super like cosmic about that. There's something beyond. There's something beyond just a normal animal at that. But I feel like there's some kind of, I don't know if it's psychic or something. I don't know what's going on there, but I don't know if the animal was scaring him. Psychically, I don't know how to describe. I don't know. It's just so wild to me. But yeah, looking at the stars screaming. So that's what.
Isn't that wild?
I don't know. It's very wild. So
that's a trip.
Yeah.
Great.
So, this story, once you got it all completed, you said you had that podcast where you had the family members and some other folks there. Everybody was, what have been some of the more positive returns, that not necessarily any kind of financial stuff, but like the positive returns that you guys have felt from this story being published and being in this man's encounters essentially being vindicated by having this story published in connection with what was in John Keel's book.
Right.
And then, finally being put in its place, from going from anonymous to named.
Right.
Like, what kind of positive stuff has come out of this since it's been finished and put out?
Man, so much. I mean, so much. I mean, has been absolutely incredible. I mean, when we first met, when we first met, he emailed us and I said, let's do a Skype meeting together, all four of us, just to see a face, just to meet each other. And, he was telling us, this is really I probably would have died with this if I wasn't going to tell you guys. You know what I mean? This is to him. It gives me goosebumps thinking about it. Cause people do hold this stuff inside until they die. And they do. And this guy was able, with the help of us, when we were happy to help, and this is amazing to us, with the help of us, we were able to get, we have a little bit of a platform, and we got it out to a good group of people. I mean, a good enough. He was really happy with the reception of it. It's been really, it's been really nice knowing that we put something, we helped place something in history. This very strange cryptid, and we helped this man. What's most important to me is that we got his story out, and that's been number one for me from the beginning. You
took it from being just a case file in John Keel's book that was dubbed to an anonymous writer, put a face to it, brought it back into life and into the public arena to be able to be told.
Yep. It's huge. It is. It's big. I mean, it's like, and like, like I said, number one for me was get this guy's story out no matter what. And that's what we did. I mean, we passed books out to people. I mean, if somebody comes up to our table and looks at the book and they seem interested and they put it down, I go, you just take that. You can have that. We'd have a price on it, but if they don't want to buy it, I just want to get this guy's story out. I just want people to see it. I want this to be a part of, it's just a special, it was special for us. And it really, and he said, he's getting up there, I mean? So, so that's been really nice knowing that we really helped this guy out. It means
there's so many of them, Mikey, that are exactly what you just said, and they take it with them. Yep. And, one of those recently was Freddie May.
Yep.
And absolutely. That's the same thing that happened there, guys. I mean, his story was preserved, luckily, but wouldn't it have been great if Freddie
we'll say this, luckily and reluctantly.
Reluctantly, yeah, that's true.
It was reluctantly, but it's still saved, But what I'm saying is, wouldn't it have been great if we could have actually heard that from him, what you just managed to do, like one-on-one.
It would have been, that would have been amazing. I mean, if he would have been, but that's just what happened to him. He just wasn't, he didn't want to talk about it. And that's what happens. You got kind of clay him up a little bit,
So,
But once this guy started talking to us and, once we really, cause at first he's like, you guys aren't just going to joke on me. You know what I mean? Cause he listened to the podcast and he realized that we're jokers. You know what I mean? Like we like to joke around, have fun. He was making sure, you guys aren't you're not going to just use this as, to make fun of me or whatever. And we're like, no, not at all. I mean, this is big to us. I mean, you're like, this is cool. I mean, this is part of our, this is in our blood. We're from this area. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's just been a real trip. This is the whole thing. So,
it's so cool, man.
Yeah. And I don't know what's happening next with it. We'll see, what happens next. I think that he wants to do some, the eyewitness wants to do some like library stuff. He wants to do a talk at libraries and stuff. Cool. So I think next summer we'll be doing that. So yeah. So
now look at that. I mean, there you go. I mean, that's how you preserve a story. That's exactly awesome.
Ron, I think we need to get Mikey a pin that says official ambassador of the paranormal after this.
100%.
Do you guys have those? I want one.
So when we started, we self-dubbed ourselves back in 2017 as the ambassadors of the paranormal because we wanted to normalize it. We wanted to bring people to a point where they could tell their stories, the same thing that you just did for John.
Yeah. Right. Exact same thing.
And you did it.
Yep.
Now, one of the few.
Give me one of those. Exactly. And that's
we
something
will make it happen, brother.
That's something to be proud of right there. I mean, like just not to gas myself up too much, but I feel I'm very proud of it. I'm very proud of the work we did.
You should be.
It's wonderful, and I'm happy that the world gets to see it now too. You know what I mean? So, so all around, it's just all good. It's just a wonderful experience.
Everybody, the book's up.
Yep.
And we're going to put a link right here, guys. So go and follow the link to Amazon. You'll be able to pick up your copy of the book. Here, we're going to make the trifecta here.
Yeah, because Mikey don't have his. But anyway,
go get your copy.
Go do it. Go do the thing. Buy it, and like I said, these guys deserve something for this. This is a lot of work to do this kind of stuff.
Thank you.
Just have no idea.
I want to show one piece of artwork from in here.
Yeah.
What
I actually drove up on this thing. I would probably have brown pants.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I was saying.
Look at that. That thing's bigger than your car.
That's when it was coming toward him. And
toward him. Yep.
Yeah, his dad got him before it got to them, because he was like, oh, I always wondered what would happen if it got to us.
And it never did. It never ran. He said it never made noise. It never ran.
Yeah.
So
well, going to the real animal. Okay. It wasn't like the kind of critter that would run.
Right.
They weren't built for running. They could make some fast movements in defense, but they weren't something that was going to be running away.
Right. Exactly.
Or running towards something.
No, I looked it up because I couldn't remember exactly how big they were. It was between 10 to 14 feet tall.
Yeah, they were big. Yeah.
Huge.
And that his description was 12 to 18 or something. And then these days he was going, well, as a kid, you think, everything's huge. So, but he thinks it was more towards the 12 range, or lower than that. So, yeah. So I'm just going to put this out here, guys. Go and purchase your copy of the book. Fund the documentary that Mikey and his brothers are going to make. Yeah.
And let's get this thing done, guys.
Yeah. It's cool. You just never know what's going to happen with it, Mikey. You just never know what's going to happen with it.
Even if you guys just put together like a 20-minute YouTube video of you guys going up there talking to him, looking at the site, do it.
And here's the thing about that. I've noticed that now I've done that. I just want to keep doing. I want to keep trying to preserve things, because I'm doing the whole thing with Gray Barker now.
I was getting ready to bring that up.
Yeah,
Speaking of, all your philanthropic work that you've done with this, with going and giving the book away to libraries, reaching out to family members and all that stuff. Tell us about this Gray Barker cemetery thing.
Man, it's just okay. So it started off with a zine that I released last year. I was going to the archives once a week for I don't know how long. I would just go and hang out and just read up and photocopy stuff. I would go there. I would go get the same lunch every Wednesday or Thursday. I'd get hot. They knew my order by the time I go to a hot dog place down the street from the library at the archives. And it just became this ritual for me. And I'd go visit the archives. I'd photocopy.
Were you going to the custard stand?
No, I was going to what's it? Not Red Hot. I forgot what it was called, but it was delicious. I loved it.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was in Clarksburg, Clarksburg. Yep. And I would make my way over to the archives, and I would just sit there and I would photocopy stuff that I thought was cool, and I had no idea what I was doing there or why I was doing it, and something had its hand over me, and it was making me do this weird stuff, and I did that for I don't know how long, weeks, 6 weeks, 7, I forgot, but I still said in the zine. But eventually that lifted the need to go there just stopped one day. I'm like, I don't want to go there today. I'm done going there. So then I compiled all these stories, not all of them, but the ones I really liked. I compiled them into a zine that I really enjoyed, and I started sending that out to people free of charge. So I've sent probably what did I count at? Around 400 of those. People all around the world just that are interested in Gray Barker.
Yeah, mine's back here on the bookshelf.
Very cool. Yeah, I got all the stuff that I thought was really neat, and people, and some people, if they can't make it to the archives, they probably wouldn't see. So I made sure that I had some really good response to that. Okay, so from that, the cemetery, I've always wanted to see his headstone. I mean, Gray Barker. And I feel a kinship with Gray Barker. He was a little bit of a prankster, a little bit of a goofball, and I feel the same way. I appreciate that. Not everybody does. I understand, but I love it. I think it's great. But So the cemetery, me and Andrew from the Flatwoods Monster Museum, he's always wanted to see it. We knew it was out in the middle of the woods somewhere. So it's right outside Sutton, West Virginia, where the museum is. So we made our way up there, and you have to walk through somebody's lawn essentially to get to this cemetery. It's like real awkward. So like, so it's like a farm really. And you walk through, all these animals are in there. There's horses and pigs and chickens, and you know, walk
country cemeteries.
Wow. It is. It's like, but it's still considered public road, the road that goes into the woods that goes to the cemetery. So, I mean, we're allowed to be there. I mean, but it's just super weird having to walk through somebody's property to get, but yeah, we made our way, me and Andrew made our way there. And yeah, I just noticed nobody keeps up with it. Nobody can make it out there. I mean, I talked to some of the family members of Gray Barker, like nieces and nephews, and they said, we're just getting too old. I mean, we used to go out there and take care of it, but we can't do it. And so, yeah, me and Andrew went out there, took some pictures, some videos. We were real happy about it. And I ended up going back the next weekend and just like cleaning it up, just like weed whack. Well, my weed whacker was useless. These weeds were taller than I was. I'm 6'1", and these weeds that were growing everywhere were taller than I was. So I was trying to use my weed
blade for that,
dude. Yeah, exactly. And that's why my weed whacker wasn't cutting it. So I brought a weed whacker, and I brought handheld clippers. So I got on my knees and I clipped the whole cemetery. I got rid of dude, my back was killing me. But yeah, I just noticed that nobody was taking care of it. So I just
should have went to the hardware store and bought like a Grim Reaper sickle and just.
Oh, that would have been sick. That would have been really cool. But
then put your robe on while you were doing it. That'd be great, man.
That'd be a Gray Barker thing to do.
Float through the woods. Yeah,
he would approve.
So yeah, I kind of cleaned it up, and it took me a few days. I had my friend Katie come out the next day and help me too. So it took a couple days to clean it all out, and it's not totally done. There's still some work to do, but it's definitely a lot better than it was.
Right. And, you got markers and sons though.
Yes, we sure did. And then, me and Andrew were like, so what can we do? Because it initially started, I was like, I want to get Gray a new headstone. You know what I mean? I want to get him a nice, because his headstone's pretty simple. It's like just, it's one that's in the ground. It's nice. It's nice looking.
Yeah, but it's one of the flat ones. It's a marker.
Ones. Yeah, it's the marker. So I was like, let's get him a nice headstone and put his picture on there, maybe a UFO or, whatever. I mean, just make it look nice. But that takes some work. So like, what can we do now to like,
I knew a guy.
Yeah, we know we could possibly be of assistance here.
You guys got the hookup.
I got an idea. If you do that, you should get a permanent UFO hanging on a stick.
Yes. Oh yeah. That'd be great. And we could do that
Lost
too.
Creek UFO. Yeah, that's good.
So for everybody who's curious, this is the only photo that I've been able to grab of this, and it's of Andrew and his daughter. And I'm sure he won't mind me throwing this up here to show you guys, because he's posted this publicly on Instagram from the museum and all that stuff too. And this is the plaque that you guys took out there and put in the ground, and it's really cool.
Yeah,
it's a great portrait. Nice.
We had that printed. We had that made up during the winter, this last winter, and because that was the plan. We're gonna go. He said we're gonna go. We said we should go out there and put a sign up to so people know that it is the Barker Cemetery. First of all, so we had that made, and then we had this made to put next to his grave, and we tried to find anybody that could answer any questions about this place. Like, who do we get a hold of that? Because we're like, who can we ask to put this up? And everybody we called was like, I had no idea that was even there. So nobody so we're like, we're just going to do it. I mean, like we're just helping, if anything, you know what I mean? I'm weed whacking and we're putting these nice things up, so we did that this past weekend. We went up there and this past Sunday, actually, we went up and put the sign up and that was a really special day. I mean, I've been really waiting for that. And it was really nice.
We're all creators. And I'm sure we would all appreciate if someone in the future went out and, acknowledged everything we have created with something like that. So I'm sure he would love it.
Exactly.
That's cool, man.
But I was also looking at what got me originally was I'm
just going to put a public urinal out wherever they put me in the ground.
Probably.
Same, brother. Same. I'm going to do the same thing. But no, what first initially got me to clean up the cemetery was I noticed how many children were buried up there. And I'm like, oh man, like, their home is being overgrown right now. I mean, they don't have room to whatever. I mean, breathe or whatever. I mean, that's how I just felt. I felt it in my bones. I felt bad for these people up here, these buried people. And so I ended up, and I mean, Gray was a big part of it, but I was like, man, there's a lot of babies up here. And I felt really, really awful about that. So like nobody's taking care of them. So, but yes, I agree with that. I mean, if somebody did that for me, I would, I'd be rolling around in my grave with glee.
I would haunt you in a really cool way.
Exactly. So yeah, me and Andrew did that this past weekend, and it was just a wonderful day. We just went up there. The weather was nice, and we put the signs up, and we just walked around and talked, and just just kept looking at it, going, "How cool is this?" I don't know if anybody's going to go up there and look at it. It's kind of out of the way, but it's there if anybody wants to see it.
There you go.
So I'm also the self-appointed caretaker of this cemetery now. I'm going to start going up. Now it's nice out. I'm going to start taking care of it. So that's going to be my new thing, is going up there and taking care of it. Because I just like going up there, sitting up there too. I mean, it's in the middle of the woods. It's just nice. You can sit there. It's quiet, so. But I've also been telling people if they want to go up there, and they don't know how to, which is understandable because it's a journey. They can get a hold of me somehow, and I could help get them up there. I could take them back there, whatever they need. If somebody really wants to see the cemetery and the headstone, just get a hold of me on the Mothboys podcast messages or whatever, and I'll meet you guys out there. I'll meet whoever out there, and I'll bring you up there.
We might have to do that one day, Joe. That's your
absolutely. You should, man. It's awesome.
Absolutely.
Me, you, and you guys, Andrew. We could all go up there. That'd be a trip.
That'd be a blast.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just cementing a little bit of a ufology history, which I think is awesome. Pretty cool. I
should bring some equipment and try to talk to Gray.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
I'd love to see his responses.
Well, I'll bring the Mothman prophecies. I'm sure we'll get a response.
There you go.
You go.
So
we don't provoke. We don't.
Great marker.
We don't provoke.
Man prophecies and some of John Keel's work, and say, "Here, this is the best UFO work ever made, Mr. Barker."
I'm going to tell you, looking through the archives, I would read these letters that were from John Keel to Gray Barker, and it was John Keel absolutely tearing into Gray Barker for not being serious enough. Yeah, and he would yell at him over letters. Like I could feel it. I was like, oh, he's like yelling at him. I didn't like that, but he was a pretty serious dude. You know what I mean?
There was quite a bit of vitriol there.
Mm-hmm. But they always talked about each other like they were like great friends. You know what I mean? If you read about them, they're always like,
they respected each other.
They did.
Yeah, there was respect.
Yeah. But I'm reading some of those letters. He was, he was really tore into him. And I'm like, you feel for the guy, you know what I mean? But they were just they had two different mindsets about the things, I think, you know what I mean? So yeah, if, like I said, me and Andrew did that, and it was really cool. I mean, and I want, the fence up there is kind of falling apart right now, and I'd really like to get up there and try to fix that up. After years and years not being taken care of, branches falling on them, and it's just
kind of fence is it?
Just simple, like I don't know. I had it written down. What it's called, like chicken wire kind of wire fence.
I'll tell you a quick and easy fix for that.
Yeah, what is it?
You can go to like Home Depot or Lowe's, anywhere like that. Yeah. You know that type of pole that they used for the sign?
Yeah.
You can get one of those for like $5.
That's what they use. I think that's what they use around the perimeter.
Yeah, just get like several of them, stake it in the ground. That'll hold that fence up. Huh?
Yeah, that's a good idea. But that's the next thing I want to do. I want to clean up the rest of the cemetery up there, and then get some of the fencing fixed. And that's my mission. So yeah.
Well, Mikey, we talked about this in reverse, all your achievements, and they're wonderful. But let's talk about really quick your first achievement, and that was Mothman learns the ABCs.
My first achievement,
yeah.
Mothman learns the ABCs. Yeah,
yes.
That was me and Danner, who was Conjure Dust Designs. He illustrated it, and that's been a big hit, man. I mean, that's really, it's been selling, and it still sells. It's pretty wild. I mean,
it's a fun book.
It is, yeah. And we try to incorporate all the most of the West Virginia cryptids into it. You know what I mean, and all of his buddies. And I've done some live. I haven't done too many, but I've done some live. I'm not the best public speaker, but I've been doing a few library stops with that, and it's been a lot of fun. The kids really like it. I had one. What school was I at? I forgot. But he knew all the cryptids, man. He knew Vegemite. I know they're not cryptids, but he, I think they're that, yes.
Those kids know more than we do.
Yeah, they really do. That's why.
My son Rowan, you gave me a copy of the book right after it was released, and Rowan can go through the book, and now he's 4, but when he was 2.5, 3 years old, he could go through the book and point to each of the characters, and he could tell you who it was.
Yep, that's what's happening. That's what happened with my son. Now he's 2 years old, and his newest obsession is Braxy. He runs around and says Braxy. And it's just awesome. Wonderful. It's great. So that was great. I mean, it's a big seller at the Mothman Museum. It's been doing really well there. So I'm really happy with that. And that was like a really big achievement for me too, just getting that book into the Mothman Museum.
Oh, yeah.
And then my second children's book, which I love it. I think it's fantastic, but it was a totally different thing. It was a little bit more scary. It was Curious Creatures, the Vegetable Man. Mm-hmm. It essentially tells the story of the Vegetable Man from the Vegetable Man's point of view instead of from Jennings Frederick, instead of his point of view. So that book it wasn't as popular as Mothman Learns the ABCs, but it told the true story of Jennings Frederick and his encounter with the Vegetable Man in a children's like story. So, and I love it.
The first title is Mothman.
Right.
Was in the key. And then the second one was Vegemite. A lot of people don't know who it is, but it's still a good story.
Right. It's a wonderful story. That's why I want to turn to a kid's book. And, I grew up with horrifying stories as a kid, scary stories to tell in the dark. Right. Are you afraid of the dark? I used to love that kind of stuff. So this was a little homage to that. I mean, it's not too scary, but there's a couple of pages where he latches onto his arm to suck the blood.
I mean, it's got that kind of goosebumpy feel more than like the stories you tell in the dark and things like that. It's more of a goosebumps sort of thing. So
I think we've definitely sold more Mothman Learns the ABCs, but I'm very proud of Curious Creatures, the Vegetable Man. And I'm working. We're going to be working on Curious Creatures, the Grafted Monster next.
Sweet.
And then we have Mothman Learns the Colors, which will be coming out too. So,
that's cool.
So that's what's coming up. That's coming up for me with the children's book. Yeah. So doing a lot of fun stuff. So, I mean, and also I've been collecting Gray Barker stuff. I finally got first editions of the Silver Bridge, and They Knew Too Much About Flying Saucers.
Oh, awesome.
So I'm very happy with that. Yeah. Now I just need to find something signed by him. I actually found something signed by John Keel online, which cool. I bought that. So that's pretty cool. I haven't seen many things signed by him. So I'm going to, cool. I saw something that was signed by Gray Barker, and it was like 1,500 or something for the book. Wow. I'm like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
Too much. But yeah, that's what I have going on. And then obviously Mothboys doing that still. And yeah, man, it's all good. I mean, I'm excited. I'm not doing too many events this year. I'm doing Mothman Festival. I heard were you guys invited to speak at the Braxton,
Flatwoods Monster?
No, Braxton County Fair.
Oh, yes, we are doing the Braxton County Fair.
Okay, they asked. Andrew was wondering if I wanted to talk about Gray Barker there too. So
cool.
I think I might do that. I think it might be fun. Hang out with you guys. What are you guys doing it on? What do you guys? Do you know yet?
We're just gonna go up there and do what we do.
Really? just say words,
Mikey. We never know what we're gonna do until literally, almost
there.
Almost a week before, and it's
unless we're putting together a formal presentation,
right.
We don't do it formal, and we're just going to go there and have fun.
Yeah,
we're going to talk about some stuff. We're going to ask people in the crowd about stories.
That's cool.
We're going to generally it's probably going to focus around high strangeness. Hope.
Yeah,
just
Joe's just going to get there. He's going to go Bigfoot, and then that's going to be that's it.
Just drop the mic.
Yeah, drop the mic. That's it. Yeah,
that's
right.
So yeah, Andrew asked me to be a part of that somehow. So we'll see about that. I would like to come hang out with you guys and hang out with the crowd there and him. And
we're supposed to be set up, I think, in like the same little nook. So like, let's just fight to get beside each other.
That's like the cryptid. Is there a cryptid tent or something like that, or is like
I think if that night there's like a cryptid corner or something.
Okay, that might be fun.
All set up.
I haven't signed up.
There'll be aliens there,
like actual aliens, like aliens from the sky, like maybe hanging out, talking.
You want to do a C5 while we're up there, Mikey? Come on, be fun.
Let's stop. I don't know. Yes, let's do it.
We'll take the flashlight.
Yes.
You don't want to do a C5,
Mikey. But yeah, I'm not doing many events this year. I cut down on a lot of events. We're doing. We announced the Veggie Man Day, which we're hosting. which is Saturday, July 13th in Fairmont, West Virginia at the Folklife Center there from 11 to 5. It's going to be vendors and, music and vegetable snacks. I think we'll be serving up some veggie snacks for people. I think we're showing a couple movies.
For Veggie Man, I'm sure that would be horrifying.
That's right. Exactly. We're eating a part of Veggie
Good, man. I like that.
So we're doing, I think we're going to show a couple movies.
Him.
Yeah, we'll be showing a couple. I think we're showing, what movies are we showing? We're showing the Gray Barker, Shades of Grey documentary. I think that's one. And then another movie we're showing is called Invasion of the Saucer Men. I don't know if you ever heard of that. 1957. Funny enough, in a letter from John Keel to Gray Barker, he said the creatures in this movie remind me of the Vegetable Man. And so I have this letter that he wrote to him saying that these creatures in this movie. So we'll be showing that movie, I think, too. That'd be cool. Yeah. So that'll be a fun day. It's just a little. It's a little intimate event. It's like there's it's not the biggest space, so it's gonna be smaller, which I like. I'm a fan of setting up small events. You guys know it's like to set up bigger events. We did Cryptid Bash, and we're doing it in Pittsburgh this year, and it's just that's huge. I'm just trying to do something smaller. So that's Veggie Man Day. So,
that's cool, man.
Well, Mikey, tell everybody where they can find you, like where they can find your podcast stuff, where they can find your books and all that.
Yeah, books on Amazon. Curious Creatures, Vegetable Man, you can find on Amazon and Small Town Monsters Publishing. They that was the first book they published. So if you want to go pick it up from them or Amazon, either one. White Monsters of Sherman, New York is on Amazon. Mothman Learns the ABCs is also on Amazon. And my zine, Gray Barker Zine, if you just want to hit me up, I can get you a copy of that. Just let me know. I've been sending those out, like I said, free of charge. And then Mothboys is, you can listen anywhere you listen to podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, just whatever. You guys know the deal. And then I think it's Mothboys Podcast on Instagram and then Mothboys on Facebook, or it might be Mothboys Podcast, but there are not many Mothboys out there. So just type in Mothboys and you'll find it. You know what I mean? Exactly.
You'll find them. And we'll leave you a link down here too. So you will find them.
Yeah. So if you want to go pick up a book, and like I said, hit me up if you want a copy of the zine, because I'm really happy with how those turned out. And I want people to see them. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, everybody, go and check out the Mothboys podcast. Mike, thanks for coming and hanging out with us. We appreciate you sticking around tonight.
Absolutely.
If you guys have any questions for him, if you're interested in finding the Barker funeral plot, if you want to catch Design or you want to catch any of their other materials, look them up on Amazon, look them up on the podcast, any podcatcher. They're going to be out there on all of them, except for Google Podcasts, because effective like 5 days from now, it doesn't exist anymore. And it's going to be over on YouTube podcast. So go and make sure that you move all of your podcasts. If you're listening on Google, go and move all of your subscriptions to YouTube podcast very soon. Otherwise, you might get behind on a few. And definitely go check out the Mothboys podcast. If you have a sighting that you would like to report, remember, you can always go to wildandweirdwv.com. Click on the report a sighting tab, fill out the questionnaire, and it will get kicked out to our email, at which point we will get in touch with you. And if you're in our immediate investigation range, then we might be in touch with you to come and check out your sighting. If you live outside of our investigation range, we have people all over the country and now all over the world that we can get in contact with you to do their due diligence. If you would like to support Wild and Weird Radio in any way, shape, or form, the fastest and best way is to just like, share, and subscribe. Tell some friends and family. Get weird with everybody, because you know that we're going to be weird with you, and bring this whole Wild and Weird family all together in one place over on YouTube for YouTube Live. When we go live with Wild and Weird Radio, 8 p.m. Eastern every Thursday. It is a heck of a show. It is viewer driven. We take reports from people. We analyze data once a month that is sent in to us. We have an absolute ball over there. It is the highlight of our week and the highlight of many of our viewers' weeks. And you will understand why if and only if you come check it out and hang out with us Thursday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern. Trust me, it's a ball. then, there's always possibilities and chances to catch us out and about. Mikey said he's going to be at Mothman. We're going to be at Mothman. It was just announced that we're going to be doing the workshop at Monster Fest in there in late June. And you definitely want to check that out. That's going to be an absolute ball up in Canton, Ohio. We've got Withfield UFO. We've got Ohio Bigfoot Conference coming up. Those are the first 3 of our year. We are going to be really, really, really busy, guys. So there's a chance you're going to be able to catch us in a whole lot more places, just by accident. So
you might run into us at Point Pleasant. Who knows?
You never know. If you're in the Point Pleasant area and you see these 2 hominids walking around, and you never know what kind of wild and weird high strangeness is going on. But I guarantee you there's some. And we thank you guys for listening. Last but not least, thank you, Mikey, for joining us. This has been a great show. The books are awesome. Everybody go check them out. And remember, the men in black have been following us. We don't know what's going to happen next. So just keep your fingers crossed. And if you see anybody wearing a black fedora, just, ask them how we're doing. Stay wild and weird, everybody.